The smell of sweat and stale popcorn was a perfume Marcus would later ache for. The smell of sweat and stale popcorn was a perfume Marcus would later ache for. But on that Tuesday night in the damp locker room of the Greendale College gym, it was just the backdrop to a crime. Coach Miller's pregame speech was a dud, a wet firework of cliches about defense and heart. Everyone's eyes were glazed over except for Marcus's. The deal was already struck. The man he'd met in the tinted black sedan a week earlier had been polite, his suit more expensive than any car in the Greendale student lot. The math was simple. Marcus Holloway, Greendale's leading scorer, had to be held under 10 points. The spread was 20. A win for the opposing team, Crestview, was irrelevant. They needed Marcus to have a bad night. "A twisted ankle," the man had said, his voice smooth as oil. "Hobble a bit. Miss your shots. You're a competitor. It'll look like you're just fighting through it. 25 grand. Life-changing money for a college kid. It's not like you'll be going to the NBA after. You need to get money from basketball while you still can." For Marcus, it wasn't just the money. It was his mother's medical bills, a mountain of debt that his scholarship couldn't touch. The plan was set. Midway through the first half, with Greendale up by a few, Marcus drove the lane. There was contact, a routine bump, but he let his ankle buckle in a way it wasn't designed to. He hit the polished hardwood with a cry that was only half feigned, clutching his leg. The gym fell silent. The trainer rushed out. Marcus squeezed his eyes shut, painting a masterpiece of pain on his face. "It's my ankle," he groaned, the words ash in his mouth. He was helped to the locker room to a smattering of sympathetic applause. He returned to the bench minutes later, a bulky ice pack strapped to his leg. Coach gave him a pat on the shoulder. "Tough break, kid. Just sit tight." For the rest of the game, Marcus was a spectator in the middle of a storm. He watched his teammates, unaware, fight and scrap. He saw the confusion in their eyes when they looked to him on a fast break, and he just shook his head, pointing to his ankle. He took a few shots in the second half, ugly, off-balance bricks that rattled the rim and drew winces from the crowd. He finished with 8 points. The final buzzer sounded. Crestview by 12, exactly as scripted. The locker room was quiet, a morgue of disappointment. No one blamed him. They clapped him on the back for trying to play through the pain. The praise was a physical blow. Later that night, in a nondescript motel room, Jake counted the cash, his eyes wide with glee. Marcus's stack felt heavy and dirty in his hands. He didn't count it. 15 years later, Marcus Holloway sat in a beige cubicle on the 14th floor of a steel and glass tower. The air hummed with the silent, sterile energy of corporate life. He was a senior data analyst. He wore tailored suits now, more expensive than the one worn by the man in the sedan. He analyzed trends, forecasted projections, and optimized workflows. His ankle, perfectly healthy, had never given him trouble again. On his monitor, a spreadsheet was open, a mosaic of numbers and formulas. But in the corner of his screen, a small tab played a highlight reel from the college tournament. Kids with limitless energy and uncomplicated joy soaring through the air. A deep, hollow ache opened up inside him, a void no bonus or promotion could ever fill. He missed the squeak of sneakers on hardwood, a sound more honest than any corporate mantra. He missed the gritty feel of the ball in his hands, the collective gasp of a crowd, the pure, exhausting burn in his lungs after a full-court press. He didn't miss the money. He'd paid his mother's bills. The rest was just a number in a bank account, a number that felt like a cage. He missed the truth of it. The truth of a shot arcing perfectly through the net. The truth of a hard-fought loss that stung but was earned. He had traded that truth for a lie, and the lie had followed him into this comfortable, air-conditioned prison. His phone buzzed. It was a group text from some of the old Greendale guys. "Game at the community center tonight? 7 p.m. We need a body." For years, he'd declined. Too busy, too tired. The guilt was a ghost he couldn't face on the court. He looked back at the spreadsheet, then at the highlight reel of a kid dunking with a smile so wide it could break your heart. The ache in his chest was unbearable. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. He closed the spreadsheet. Then he typed a reply. "I'll be there." It wouldn't fix anything. The past was a locked box, but for a few hours, in a dimly lit gym that smelled of sweat and not sanitizer, he could maybe remember the man he was supposed to be before he learned how to fall.